For the first time since World War II, the independence of the Fed has been called into question. When you have a Treasury Secretary who has to make up a tweet by the president to reassure markets that the Fed will remain independent, that's destabilizing, especially when we have a political environment where monetary and fiscal policy is really used to get people elected or reelected. That's frightening. The second thing that's happening is that our trading relationships with our important trading partners are in trouble because we've got a situation where we poke them in the eye instead of saying, look, these trading agreements need to be revisited, but we need two signatures on the page at the end. So we need what's called an agreement. Lastly, we've had this infatuation with whatever the latest statistic is, unemployment, GDP growth, instead of thinking about the underpinnings of our economy, like our fiscal and monetary policy. And for there, we score very poorly. We have $22 trillion in debt. We passed a $1.5 trillion tax cut that was supposed to be paid for by spending cuts, didn't happen, and by GDP growth, didn't happen. I mean, we're about 3.5% GDP growth, and we're going another $1 trillion in the hole. And you know what? If I'm in debt personally or my company's in debt, you have one of two choices. You either go bankrupt because you can't ever pay it, or you have a plan to get out. And the problem is we don't even have a plan to get out of this debt mess that we're in. And in 2034, we're messed up. The Fed is the one institution that's worried about our long-term economic health. I think it's perfectly appropriate for the executive branch to talk to the Fed. But then the executive branch needs to make clear to the markets that the Fed is independent. Look, the Fed's independence is not based on sort of custom or courtesy. It's structural. The way the governor's terms are laid out, the open market committee, the way those discussions are kept in secret are all because we want to take the Fed away from the political process. And that's important, and that was jittering the markets. That Donald Trump and the Treasury Secretary need to calm down.